US Attorney General Merrick Garland has delivered the findings of a 2-year investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department. The investigation was started after the killing of George Floyd at the hands of a then Minneapolis police officer. Merrick Garland announced that the 2020 murder of George Floyd was part of a pattern or practice of excessive force used by the department and years of unlawful discrimination against Black Americans. He held a press conference to reveal the findings of the 2-year investigation by the Department of Justice into the conduct and training of the Minneapolis Police Department both before and after George Floyd's death at the hands of officers in the city in 2020. The Department of Justice had opened the investigation after the 2021 conviction of Derek Chauvin, the most senior officer on the scene that night, who kneeled on Floyd's neck for almost 10 minutes as he begged to be allowed to breathe. Chauvin and his 3 fellow officers, who were all fired soon after the murder, were also convicted of federal hate crimes. Floyd's murder had sparked months of local, national and international protests and a fresh reckoning in the US on police brutality and more general systemic racism in American society. The demonstrations were the largest nationwide protests since the civil rights movement, and despite being largely peaceful and critical of violent policing, those protests were at times aggressively policed in Minneapolis and elsewhere, leading to record payouts to injured civilians by US cities. Garland held a press conference in Minneapolis with the city's mayor, Jacob Frey, who was in office at the time of Floyd's murder on 25th of May 2020, and the new police chief, Brian O'Hara. Garland said that the style of policing in the city violated the US Constitution and announced that the Justice Department and the city of Minneapolis have agreed in principle to negotiate towards a consent decree. He said that the department's conduct uncovered in the report is deeply disturbing and it erodes the community's trust in law enforcement. The 92-page report concluded that for years, city police used dangerous techniques and weapons against people who committed at most a petty offense and sometimes no offense at all. It also claimed that the Minneapolis Police Department had patrolled neighborhoods differently based on their racial composition and discriminated based on race when searching, handcuffing or using force against people during stops. The report further alleges that the city of Minneapolis sent officers to behavioral health-related emergency calls even when a law enforcement response was not appropriate or necessary, sometimes with tragic results. Following the investigations, the city has agreed to negotiate an agreement known as a consent decree with the Justice Department on reforming its police department.
Subscribe to Oneindia channel and never miss an update.